Welcome to The Explainer. I am so pumped you're hanging out with me today because honestly, we are tackling a topic that is absolutely critical to your livelihood. For real estate brokers in Washington state, having a current active license is the literal cornerstone of your entire business. I mean, it's what allows you to represent clients, build that vital trust, and at the end of the day, actually earn your commissions. But let's face it, the administrative side of real estate, it can be totally overwhelming, and it is so easy for deadlines to just slip through the cracks. Well, let's dive right into this explainer and make sure you walk away completely equipped to renew your license with absolute confidence. So, picture this for a second. You literally just closed a massive deal. Your clients are over the moon, but there's a problem. A simple, tiny administrative oversight happened. You go to check your calendar and you realize your Washington real estate license renewal date just quietly passed right by you. What actually happens next? Well, here's the harsh reality. The exact moment that renewal date passes without action, your license status shifts immediately to expired. And guys, this isn't just a gentle warning or, a grace period where you can just keep working. It is a hard stop on your ability to practice. You cannot legally represent clients, you cannot close any deals, and no, you cannot earn commissions. It's a pretty sobering thought, right? But don't worry, that is exactly why we're mapping this whole thing out today. To make sure that nightmare scenario never happens to you, we're going to break this entire process down into 6 super manageable steps. We'll cover the cost of expiring, first time versus subsequent renewals, continuing education requirements, the application process, handling expired licenses, and finally some reminders and disclaimers.
All right, kicking things off with step 1, the cost of expiring. You really got to understand this strict life cycle because let me tell you, the penalties escalate fast. On day 1, after your deadline, boom, your license is expired and your practice halts. Now, Washington does give you a 1-year window to renew, but you're definitely paying late penalties. But what if you hit that 1-year mark? Your license status changes to canceled. This right here is the point of no return for a simple renewal. Because if it sits in canceled status for 2 more years, which is 3 years total since it expired, it is permanently canceled. You would literally have to start completely from scratch. I'm talking pre-licensing courses, new background checks, and yes, retaking those daunting state and national exams. Let's definitely make sure it never gets to that point.
Moving right along to step 2, first time versus subsequent renewals. So your requirements here present a pretty stark contrast depending entirely on where you're at in your career. If you're a new broker coming up on your very first active license renewal, you're looking at a 90-hour continuing education hurdle. And a huge pro tip here, every single one of those hours must be started after the date you were originally licensed. On the flip side, if this is your second or third renewal, or if you're a managing broker, you fall into the subsequent renewal category. That drops your requirement down to a standard 30 hours of CE every 2 years. Make sure you don't mix these two up.
Next up, step 3, continuing education requirements.
Okay, let's look at that 90-hour hurdle for first-timers because the breakdown is super specific. You absolutely must take a 30-hour advanced practices course, a 30-hour real estate law course, the 3-hour current issues in Washington residential real estate core course, and 21 hours of approved electives. But check out that 6-hour Washington real estate fair housing requirement. Thanks to recent legislation, this is now a mandatory foundational course that all new brokers have to complete. It's basically there to make sure everyone clearly understands the responsibilities when it comes to preventing unfair practices. Now, if you've been around the block and this is a subsequent renewal, your requirements shift. Out of your 30 total hours, 3 hours have to be the prescribed core curriculum, 3 hours must be the Washington Real Estate Fair Housing course, and the remaining 24 hours, those are electives of your choosing. You can pick anything from appraisal to consumer protection. And just remember, the state actually rewrites that core course every 2 years, so it covers the latest trends and issues. It keeps the material fresh and relevant to what you're dealing with today. Right about now, you might be thinking, hey, what if I'm an overachiever and I take extra courses? Well, Washington actually allows you to carry over a maximum of 15 unused CE hours to your next renewal. Awesome, right? But there are a few catches. Those hours have to have been completed within 48 months of your current renewal date. However, and please listen to this because it's a major pitfall, your 3-hour core course absolutely cannot be carried over from 4 years ago. It has to be taken within the 24 months right before your renewal.
All right, we are on to step 4, the application process.
Here is the exact step-by-step roadmap to get this done. Step 1, knock out your CE through approved online or in-person providers. Step 2, renew your fingerprints. Now hold on a second. This is the part that trips up so many unprepared brokers. Your fingerprint background checks actually expire on a 6-year cycle. That is totally independent of your 2-year license cycle. So always double check if you're due. And finally, step 3, submit your application. You can mail it in or just do the whole shebang online through the Secure Access Washington or SAW portal. Okay, I want you to burn this number into your brain, 120. You absolutely do not have to wait until the last minute to do this. The Department of Licensing actually lets you initiate your renewal process up to 120 days before your license expiration date. Being proactive here is literally the ultimate stress reliever. But hey, if you're kind of old school and you decide to mail your physical renewal form and check to the Department of Licensing in Seattle, well, keep the number 21 in mind, because that is the bare minimum number of days it takes them to process a mailed renewal. If you pop that in the mail just 3 days before your license expires, you are for sure going to experience a lapse in your active status. Seriously, using that online SAW portal is vastly quicker, and it really helps you avoid any missing documentation pitfalls. Let's move to step 5. Handling expired licenses. Look, sometimes life just gets crazy, right? Let's say you're already past your expiration date. If your license has been expired for over a year, it officially becomes canceled. And getting it reinstated at this point, it triggers a really harsh $100 penalty, and that gets slapped right on top of all your standard renewal fees and late fees. But honestly, the financial cost isn't even the hardest part to swallow. Reinstating a canceled license requires a pretty grueling educational penalty. You're looking at completing 60 hours of CE. And get this, half of that, 30 whole hours, has to be real estate law. You've got to pay all those back fees and penalties we just talked about. And you must do all of this within exactly 2 years of your cancellation date. Remember, if you miss that window, you hit that 3-year point of no return and your license is permanently gone. Finally, bringing us to step 6. Final reminders and disclaimers. We have covered a ton of ground today, so let's just bring it all together with a quick compliance checklist to safeguard your professional credibility. First things first, set up a 120-day calendar alert right now for before your expiration date. Second, track your CE hours super carefully so you definitely hit those 24-month windows. And finally, and this is incredibly important, keep every single one of your course completion certificates for at least 5 years. The DOL doesn't make you upload them upfront when you renew, but they do conduct strict random compliance audits. If you get audited, you need to be able to produce those certificates immediately. Now, I do need to give you a quick professional disclaimer here. As thorough as this explainer is, always refer to the official Washington State Department of Licensing website or consult with a licensed professional to get the most current and personalized advice. Regulatory guidelines can and do shift, and the DOL is obviously the ultimate authority here. So I'm going to leave you with this one final provocative thought. Are your continuing education credits mapped out right now, or are you risking your commission? Having an active license is literally the key to unlocking your professional growth and your credibility in the real estate world. Don't let a totally preventable administrative detail stand in the way of your next big closing. Go check your license status right this second and take action. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on The Explainer.